The Modoc War stands out as the lone significant conflict between Native Americans and the U.S. military in California, and notably, it resulted in the death of a regular Army general. It's worth noting that George A. Custer wasn't a general when he was killed at Little Big Horn in 1876. When considering the scale of the conflict, it ranks among the most costly wars in American history. The Modoc fighters numbered no more than 60, and the maximum count of U.S. troops involved at any given time was 600. The war spanned from November 29, 1872 to June 1, 1873, although tensions leading to the conflict began as early as 1826. By the war's conclusion, casualties included 53 United States soldiers, 15 Modoc warriors, and 17 civilians lost their lives. The Modoc people had established their homes amidst the sagebrush-covered lava plateaus and forested mountains of northern California and southern Oregon. Their communities were spread out along the shores of Tule Lake and the Lost River, sustaining themselves with fish, waterfowl, wild game, and the seeds and bulbs found in the neighboring countryside. As settlers started to inhabit the areas near the Lost River, they insisted on relocating the Modoc from their residences and relocating them to the Klamath Reservation, alongside the Klamath and Yahooskin tribes. The historical rivalry between the Modoc and the Klamath, along with a strained relationship with the Yahooskin, made the Klamath Reservation an undesirable home for the young Modoc leader, Kintpuash, also recognized by settlers as Captain Jack. Kintpuash and fellow Modoc members departed from the Klamath Reservation, seeking to establish their own reservation along the Lost River. The presence of the Modoc unsettled the white settlers, leading to renewed demands for their relocation. Alfred Meacham, the Oregon Indian superintendent, persuaded Captain Jack to return to the reservation by the close of 1869. Yet upon their return, the Modoc faced harassment from the Klamath. In April 1870, Kintpuash and 371 Modoc relocated once more to their Lost River homeland. The Modoc War commenced on November 28, 1872, as Major John Green, acting on behalf of the Bureau of Indian Affairs, dispatched troops from Fort Klamath to relocate the Modoc by force if necessary, back to the reservation. However, upon their arrival the following day, the Army encountered a larger Modoc presence than anticipated, leading to immediate hostilities. Organized into 3 loosely aligned factions under the leadership of Kintpuash, the Modoc retreated as the troops set fire to their village. One faction, led by the warrior Hooker Jim, moved east around Tule Lake, retaliating for the troops' attack by killing 14 male settlers. Simultaneously, Captain Jack and the remaining Modoc from Lost River crossed Tule Lake by boat, entering the lava beds. Hooker Jim's group later joined them, a move reluctantly accepted by Kintpuash, who feared that allowing those responsible for settler murders to stay endangered other Modoc lives. Another Modoc group, the Hot Creeks, joined Kintpuash after being deceived by settlers into thinking they would all be hanged for being Modoc. Captain Jack's stronghold, located along the shores of Tule Lake, featured a rugged landscape shaped by ancient lava flows. Characterized by deep lava trenches and small caves suitable for habitation, it served as a natural fortress. This stronghold provided numerous concealed pathways, making it challenging for over 300 troops and volunteers to dislodge the roughly 50 Modoc warriors, along with their women and children, from the area. The mission was to capture them and transport them back to the Klamath Reservation. In the misty dawn of January 17, 1873, the troops advanced across what they presumed to be level ground, anticipating a Modoc surrender. However, the Modoc, leveraging the cover of their natural stronghold, dealt significant casualties to the troops. Disoriented by the fog and worn down by the biting cold and challenging terrain, the troops withdrew, abandoning their weapons, ammunition, and injured comrades. The Modoc secured a clear triumph, gaining a strategic negotiating edge in the event recognized as the Stronghold Battle. Numerous discussions occurred between Army officials and Captain Jack. In each encounter, Kintpuash consistently pressed for a reservation on the Lost River. In an effort to prevent further conflict, President Grant established a peace commission, which engaged in unarmed talks with Modoc leaders. While Captain Jack was open to negotiating a truce, Hooker Jim, facing murder charges, saw little benefit in a peaceful resolution. Collaborating with a shaman named Curly-Headed Doctor, they convinced Captain Jack to plot the murder of the peace commissioners. A plan was devised for 5 unarmed Modoc, including Frank Riddle and his Modoc wife, Toby, to meet with the commissioners on April 11, 1873. Toby Riddle, however, cautioned the U.S. agents about the impending ambush, but her warning went unheeded. On the evening preceding the scheduled meeting, Modoc warriors Barncho and Slolix, armed with rifles, concealed themselves among the rocks near the designated peace tent. The following morning, Civil War hero General Edward Canby, Reverend Thomas, Commission Head Alfred Meacham, and Indian Agent Leroy Dyer departed for the meeting as arranged. Upon arriving at the peace tent, the commissioners were surprised to find not 5, but 8 Modoc individuals, 2 of whom were visibly armed. Among the 8 were Captain Jack, Shanchin John, Boston Charlie, and Black Jim. Once again, they reiterated their request for a Lost River reservation. When their demand could not be met, Captain Jack drew a revolver and fatally shot Canby, while Boston Charlie killed Reverend Thomas. Alfred Meacham sustained injuries, but Dyer and both the Riddles managed to escape unscathed. 4 days following the assault on the Peace Commission, another attempt to seize the stronghold commenced. Although the plan to encircle the area wasn't fully executed, the Modoc found themselves isolated from their water source. On April 17th, the military forces took control of the stronghold only to discover it deserted. Kinpuash and the remaining Modoc had fled south toward the Shanshin lava flow, where they secured water from nearby ice caves for their group of 160 men, women, and children. On April 26th, a group of 69 men departed from Gillam's camp to find the Modoc. This patrol encountered a surprise attack from 24 Modoc, with Scar-faced Charlie leading the ambush. Within 45 minutes, the majority of the patrol suffered casualties, either killed or wounded. Following the skirmish, the Modoc withdrew further to the south. On the morning of May 10th, the Modoc faced defeat in their unexpected assault on the troops encamped at Dry Lake, resulting in the loss of most of their horses and supplies during a hasty retreat. A respected figure among all 3 Modoc bands, Ellen's man George, lost his life in the conflict. This incident took a toll on the Modoc, leading to internal conflicts and the fragmentation of their groups into smaller factions. Hooker Jim, accompanied by 3 men from his band and 10 from the Hot Creek band, along with their women and children, departed towards the west, heading for the present-day town of Doris. Meanwhile, Kinpuash and his followers headed for Big Sand Butte. As the troops moved west in search of Captain Jack, they encountered Hooker Jim and his group, who ultimately surrendered. Hooker Jim and 3 other Modoc members volunteered to track down Captain Jack and betray him to the army. Finally, Kinpuash surrendered at Willow Creek on June 1, 1873, marking the conclusion of the Modoc War. Hooker Jim and his associates received amnesty for aiding in the capture of Captain Jack, despite their involvement in the murder of 14 settlers at Toole Lake. Those responsible for the attack on the Peace Commissioners faced trial at Fort Klamath, where they were convicted of murder. In a last-minute decision, President Ulysses S. Grant granted amnesty to Barncho and Slolix, who were then sent to Alcatraz. However, Boston Charlie, Black Jim, Shanchin John, and Captain Jack were executed on the morning of October 3, 1873. The Modoc survivors of the war were banished to the Quapaw Agency in Oklahoma, where many succumbed to unfamiliar diseases in the harsh climate over the following years. The descendants of 7 out of the 155 Modoc prisoners of war can still be found on the former Quapaw Reservation in Oklahoma. Meanwhile, the descendants of those who never left the Klamath Reservation now reside in Oregon and various other locations. It's only in recent times that some Modoc individuals have started to come back to the lava beds. However, many still hesitate to return due to the painful memories associated with the area. Nonetheless, others are actively working towards reconnecting with the spiritual ties to their ancestral land.